maintenance will prevent you, it's what it is, preventative maintenance. It's so you don't have to buy parts. It's just basically cleaning and keeping an eye out, you know, on what's going on. It's really hard. Then you know that there's some corrosion in there, and you know, it's something's not right, and it's ready to be serviced. So that's, again, if you're on the boat and you go and you just, you know, go give it a twist or two and you feel like it's really tough, you might want to just mention to somebody, hey, I think it's time to service the valves. So
how often do you recommend it?
It depends on where you are, how often it's being used, if there's a lot of spray, you know.
Yes.
Every day, 8 hours a day.
Oh no, I would say every month or so. Might be like a every month thing, you know. It's the beginning of the month. I'm gonna go spin these valves and see how they feel. And you might be able to do that after a few months and see, like, okay, well, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, so maybe I'll do it every 2 months or every 3 months. So after a period of time, you can actually see how long you have to get to these and service them again. So it's just something to think about, and it does help the longevity of these valves, which you can't, you know, replace this part, as you know, because it's connected to the baffles. So if this inner part gets pitted and then the two surfaces aren't matched perfectly, then you're going to get leaks through it, and it's just gonna, you know, it's just gonna ruin the boat. Any resistance, that means that there is dirt or corrosion inside that needs to be addressed. And you can spin this as many times as you want, and it will not come loose. There's nothing inside internally that will come loose. So it doesn't matter if you can spin it one way or the other way. You can go around as many times as you want. Okay, so this tool here is made by Zodiac and is specific to this valve, which is used on all Zodiacs. Doesn't matter what size it is. The IC valves are used basically on all the rib tube sets or the inflatables. So it is made perfectly where you tighten down the nut inside that compresses a spring to a certain tension that will allow the IC valve to off gas during overinflation, or if the vessel is struck by something, until the nut is released from the stud. Which is inside the tool, and you can keep the nut inside of the tool. So now the whole assembly can be removed, and you pull straight up. There's no other clips or anything. If it's difficult to remove, you just need to pull a little harder and it will remove. So inside here there is a stud that is threaded, and inside of this mechanism is the spring, which you have to be careful not to lose, is inside and goes over the stud. This piece always faces up, so the nut has a surface to push down on. So you want to keep this safe, and you can take a dry rag and remove all of the old grease and any grime that is accumulated in any rag or paper towel will work. So you want to clean this piece as well as the piece that is attached to the tube. Once everything's clean, I use any grease that is made for marine use. It's just basically to coat the metal and also lubricate it as well. And you don't put a lot because the tolerance in between the two metals, this piece and the one that is in the tube, is very small, so there isn't a lot of grease that needs to be applied. Basically spread it evenly, very thinly, onto this part that is removed. You don't have to put any inside of the piece that is in the tube. So any surface area that you see, put a very thin layer.
And you said before that this grease traps the dirt and...
Yes, so it also will trap all the dirt. That's why you can, to clean, you're basically wiping the old grease off, and it's trapping all the dirt and grime into the grease, and you're wiping that away with your dry rag as you clean it. So after you've greased your part, you want to do the same to your spring. Make sure there's nothing that's you're gonna put contaminants back into the valve. This you don't need to do much as well, even though it's not going into a tight space. It's just basically to coat the metal so the environment doesn't stick to the metal, as in, you know, the seawater or any of the dirt and grime. It's encased in the grease. So now we're ready to reassemble. You have your spring, you have your valve here, your diverter valve. As you can see, there's two gaps here, and that's how the valve works and diverts the air through one chamber to the other. And everything's clean, so you're ready to reassemble. There's the stud inside that you're going to put this over. So you want to place the valve back onto the piece in the tube, and then very carefully, it works better with pliers if you can't get the spring over the stud, but it'll slide over. And you take your special tool that has the nut already inside and just screw it on, just like any wrench, and go in a clockwise, making sure you're not putting it on sideways and stripping out the threads. So if it's a little tight, back it off and reset the nut so it goes on correctly. Keep going in a clockwise fashion until you get to a point where the T handle here makes contact with the valve selector, and the nut will basically pull itself out of the T handle, because the T handle is not going any further, but the nut is going farther down the stud. And you can see that it slipped because it's not inside of the T handle anymore. And that has compressed the spring to the proper tension, so this IC valve will blow off at the correct pressure. But I don't recommend not using this tool because, again, it loads it to a preset. No more, you can't go. It can go more, but that's it. And so yeah, then you're basically you're done. You know, make sure it feels free. You can still pull it.
Can you just quickly talk about why you shouldn't use any other tool except that one?
So if you use anything other than this tool, you will not correctly tighten the nut on the stud and compress the spring to the proper tensile strength, so you can run in the risk of this valve not releasing and not expending the air out when you make contact with something and the pressure inside the tube is too great and will compromise the stitching or the seams of the tube itself. So when you're finished that, you want to replace your cap, this part.
And that has a one-way valve on it.
Yes, so this basically has a diaphragm inside that will not allow air to escape out of the valve after you've inflated it, but it is not designed to run or operate the boat without this cap.